Romans is placed first in the listing of 21 letters in the Christian Greek scriptures. The Apostle Paul wrote 14 of these letters, including Romans. Likely in 52 CE, Paul embarked on his third missionary tour. While in Corinth in about 56 CE, Paul wrote to the Christians in Rome, a city that he had not yet visited. The letter to the Romans contains 16 chapters. In chapter 1, Paul expresses his desire to visit the Christians living in Rome in order to enjoy an interchange of encouragement. He also explains that the world's ungodly conduct is inexcusable because God's invisible qualities are clearly seen in His creative works. Did you know? Paul used Tertius as his secretary to write this letter. The faithful sister Phoebe may have delivered this letter to Rome, or may have accompanied the person who did. In chapter 2, Paul highlights God's impartiality. Both Jews and Gentiles will be judged by the same standard. In chapters 3 and 4, Paul explains that Jehovah declares Jews as well as Greeks righteous by faith, and he uses the example of Abraham to illustrate the point. Abraham lived before the law was given to Moses, and before Jesus sacrificed his life. Nevertheless, God counted Abraham as righteous because of his outstanding faith. In chapters 5 and 6, Paul reasons that Adam sinned against God, and as a result, all humans have inherited sin and death. Relief is possible only through faith in Jesus and his sacrificial death. In chapters 7 and 8, Paul discusses how the Mosaic Law revealed what sin is, and why Christians are not under that law. In chapters 9 and 10, Paul explains that those who exercise faith, regardless of their nationality, can become God's spiritual children. In chapter 11, Paul uses the illustration of a cultivated olive tree. Jews who rejected the Messiah are compared to branches that are broken off. Branches from a wild olive tree, representing Gentile Christians, are grafted in their place. In order to be part of the tree, all must remain humble and exercise faith in Jesus. In chapters 12 and 13, Paul exhorts Christians to be peaceable with all, to love one another, and to respect governmental authorities. In chapters 14 and 15, Christians are counseled to stop judging one another, but rather to support those who are weak. In chapter 16, Paul concludes with words of encouragement and warm personal greetings, mentioning 26 individuals by name. As you read the inspired letter to the Romans, note how God is impartial in His dealings with all people, how Christians should be peaceable with others, and how freedom from sin and death comes only by exercising faith in Jesus, the King of God's kingdom.